Good afternoon. My name is Niko House, host of the political radio show Mi Casa es Su Casa, which you can catch Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on YouTube Live, on Facebook Live, awakeradio.us, and iHeartRadio. Today, I wanted to talk to you all about how Tulsi Gabbard, if she decides to run, which I hope she does, has completely won me over. Now, if you've been following me long enough, you know that I've had my reservations about Tulsi for several reasons. Mostly because of her past. I want to present the unbiased facts to you, which involve her involvement with the DNC, the Democratic National Committee, her hawkish behavior in the past, and her support for leadership in India that is a little bit questionable, to say the least. Now, firstly, her leadership position in the DNC kind of lets you know that at some point she was playing ball with the establishment. She was playing ball with Debbie Wasserman Schultz, and therefore, at some point, was playing ball with Hillary Clinton. Now, she was exonerated in that capacity from that when she decided to break free in the midst of a huge battle, a huge internal conflict, and decided to endorse Bernie Sanders and be his surrogate, right? So that was a big deal because if you were paying attention at the time, one of the most chilling quotes that Tulsi Gabbard had released was that she wouldn't allow the Hillary and the Democratic establishment to intimidate her any further, which is a big deal because this woman has been in the DNC. Obviously, she's talked to Debbie Wasserman Schultz several times, and there had been some indication, obviously, that that Tulsi had been a little bit under duress, and they did not want her leaving. And obviously, that was then later on proven to be true because once she left, they had decided to pull all of her funding, despite her winning anyway, but she did get a lot of funding, not only from her constituents, but also from fellow Americans who felt for her, who admired her courage, and they donated to make sure that she did in fact win Hawaii. But so once she kind of left in the midst of that internal conflict and did the right thing, I had decided, okay, so that is something that I won't hold over her head, although it did make me skeptical. Now, she has been a war hawk in the past. But as you all know, if you don't, you should definitely read articles. I'll post a couple at the bottom of this video. Tulsi Gabbard has done a complete and total 180 on her hawkish behaviors. She doesn't want us to continue to perpetuate the military-industrial complex. She doesn't want us to continue to fight in these proxy wars for money, which she's made very clear that it is obvious that we are in these wars for money. She had even potentially sacrificed her own reputation to go and meet with Assad in Syria during what some politicos call a secret meeting. It wasn't really that secret. She got back and told everybody what she had done. And when she had did that, that let me know that she was very, very serious about us minding our own business, about saving innocent lives, not only domestically, but abroad as well. And, from our involvement, unnecessary involvement in a lot of cases, in countries that we had no business in. And for her to be a hawk in the beginning of her Senate or her congressional career, as a military veteran, I understand the tactics of essentially brainwashing that can go on. And it's not necessarily all deliberate, but in basic training and in officer training, they tell you that this is our enemy. When you get deployed, she was a captain, for those of you who don't know, that's what she got out as a captain. When you deploy and this is your enemy, all you're looking at for the most part and all you're engaging with is the enemy. You're being told your mission is against this person. Of course, you're going to harbor some resentment towards those people that you believe took the lives of your brothers and sisters in arms. And she unfortunately brought that sentiment in the beginning into her congressional decision making, but eventually, she's often honestly been described as Islamophobic. So, but eventually, she got out of that mindset and decided that it is about time that we stopped pursuing these wars that seemingly only really benefit a few and harm millions. And because of that also, she won a lot of my respect. Now, in 2020, this logistically, Tulsi Gabbard, if she ran, the only other person that I would vote for is Bernie Sanders from that party, because he would obviously run again under the Democratic Party, because that's who he's been trying to repair. But realistically, if Tulsi Gabbard decided to run in 2020, which I honestly believe she will, which is why she's been keeping herself in the spotlight, I think that she would have the best chance of winning, because the only person, and this is something that is extremely underestimated by the Democratic Party, the only person who could repair the Democratic Party are two people that could repair the Democratic Party as far as the massive numbers that they lost in 2016 and 2017 is Tulsi Gabbard. Other than Tulsi Gabbard would be Nina Turner and Bernie Sanders, and that's it. Why? Because those are the three people that everybody left the party for, in the name of, if you will. 20 million, I believe it was. It's either 12 or 20 million. Don't quote me on that. I'll try to find it, but it was the largest exodus. 20%. It was 20%. So it's 12 million, 20%. 20% of the Democratic Party ended up leaving and becoming independent. Independent also includes the Green Party, for those of you who don't know, because they just fall under a third party. So, but they did end up becoming independent. So 20% of your party leaves for whatever reason. You have to figure out what caused them to leave, and you have to bring them back into your party if you ever hope to win, because 20% is huge considering where the 20% of the people left. These are places like New York. These are places like California, key places in Florida, where we saw the results of that 20% leaving. And I'm not talking about the presidency. Yeah, the presidency was a big deal. When you have the largest exodus of the Democratic Party in history, definitely the presidency is going to be affected. But more importantly, the congressional elections at every level, the senatorial elections at every level, state, federal, were affected. And we are now being dominated by a Republican Congress at state levels, federal levels, and there is only a couple of ways that can be fixed if you are trying to make the attempt to do that through the Democratic Party, and that is to either run Tulsi Gabbard, Nina Turner, or Bernie Sanders himself, the people that essentially inadvertently encouraged the exodus of the Democratic Party. When you're talking about a woman who went to Standing Rock when no one else would, other than Jill Stein. When you're talking about a woman who met with Assad and the people tried to shred her, the Washington Post, that article by Josh Rogan was absolutely sickening. Trying to essentially, it was supposed to be a hit piece on Tulsi Gabbard, and they just tried to make it a hit piece on Assad, and then like the last 5 lines were actually about Tulsi, even twisting her words, assaulting her character. And she said, if you actually watch the video and see her quotes, she was talking about, she completely understands the violence, and she understands why people wouldn't want to work with this side or why people work on the other side. But she said, if you want to stop the violence, if you actually care about the people of Syria, then this is something that we need to address. She also talked about how these are terrorists that are attacking the Assad regime, and the Syrian people are in fact being funded by the United States. And this isn't something that we can deny. But she was talking about how upset she was because she could not give them an explanation as to why we were funding terrorist organizations. And that's a little worrisome. But the fact that she went to go meet with Assad, despite perhaps having differences, which I know she does, shows leadership. It shows compassion. It shows that she is dead set on getting us out of the military-industrial complex, which is something that the progressive wing of the Democratic Party wants to do, and wants to do now, not later. And because of this, if you want to win in 2020, the Democratic Party, that is, you better run Tulsi Gabbard, because she wouldn't only demolish the primaries, but she would destroy anybody from the Republican side that went up against her. She's a minority, she's a woman, she's a retired service veteran, decorated one at that, an officer. I mean, the list goes on. She's done the progressive things. She's very sensible, she's very balanced. And that's extremely important when you're talking about running against the Republican Party, who tends to run on identity politics. But you can't run on identity politics if you're the identity on the other side is a little bit more prolific, if you will. So if you want to win, you have to run Tulsi Gabbard. And she absolutely 100% has my support. Once the establishment, once progressive, quote unquote progressive, or left publications start slandering her character to that degree, that kind of let me know very quickly that, okay, she's obviously fighting for the right team. Because I remember what they did with Bernie Sanders when he first started to pick up steam. They started insulting him at every corner, talking about how selfish he was, how he should yield, how he was a sexist, how he supports communism, how him and Fidel Castro are best friends, and the list goes on, right? And this is something that we're seeing again with Tulsi Gabbard, which means they consider her a threat. And if they consider her a threat, that means she's extremely valuable. And if she's valuable, you need to do, Democratic Party, whatever it takes to get people behind Tulsi Gabbard. There are many people speculating that Elizabeth Warren should run in 2020. Absolutely not. And I will do another video addressing that as well. But for now, I just want to bolster and help people understand why it is so important to propagate Tulsi Gabbard if you expect to win an election in 2020 and take your party back as well. So thank you all for watching. Please like and share this video. Comment below, like and subscribe. And always remember, find your balance.